Well, welcome everybody to the latest in our series of London interviews, just ahead of London International Shipping Week, which is happening this September. And we're very delighted to welcome today Tanuj Luthra, who's Chief Operating Officer of Zodiac Maritime, and Katy Ware, who's Head of Regulatory Affairs at Zodiac. London-based Zodiac Maritime is one of the world's largest and most respected shipping companies. Its diverse fleet of around 200 vessels includes container ships, bulk carriers, crude, product, gas and chemical tankers, as well as car and truck carriers. And with a strong focus on safety, reliability and efficiency, Zodiac Maritime has built a strong reputation for operational excellence over 7 decades in the maritime industry. Now, Katy and Tanuj, welcome. Lovely to see you today and to talk to you. Welcome to London Interviews.
Thank you, Sean. Happy to be here.
Brilliant. And nice to see you again, Katy.
It's nice to be back with everybody.
It's a very exciting time. Katy has been to a number of LRSWs over the years, and it's definitely the calm before the storm where things are all starting to be put into place, and it's going to be an amazing week without a doubt. Tanuj, let me start with you, if I may, sir. And as I said, welcome to London Interviews. Can you just tell us a little bit about you for the listeners and your background? I mean, you're previously Vice President at AP Muller. Give us a little bit of the sort of background and what you are coming and bringing into the role here at Zodiac Maritime.
Once again, thanks for having me, Sean. So my name is Tanuj Luthra. I'm Chief Operating Officer for Zodiac. And yeah, where do I start? I mean, I started my career as a marine engineer, actually. And that was, now I sound really old, hopefully not too old, but it was somewhere in the late 90s. And after sailing on board different types of ships around the world, I came ashore and held different positions both in Asia and in Europe, mainly in the realm of ship management. And at the end of my, let's say, I finished about a little more than 25 years with AP Moller Maersk. So I wouldn't say it was one job; it was several jobs. It gave me a lot of rich experiences and learnings. And I'm very happy to have then joined Zodiac as Chief Operating Officer. Yeah, almost 2 years ago now. So that's my background.
And I think, Katy, we know you very much from your previous life there with the UK flag and the role you played there, and also representing the UK very much at the IMO. Exciting development for yourself as well with Zodiac Maritime. A lot of opportunities as well, I guess.
Yeah, it's a fantastic opportunity. In my previous life, I've been privileged to have worked alongside Zodiac for 25 years. I've been very close to the company. I understand them. And I'm really mindful that Zodiac are on a new journey. Bringing in somebody of Tanuj's caliber as Chief Operating Officer, with really, the executives are really looking to beef up that leadership team here. But that's really important for us because, as everybody who's listening knows, the regulatory framework is changing hugely. It's a whole different game, and in terms of regulatory framework as we move forward, and my role here is to be watching that frameworks, the development, whether it's within the EU, the IMO. There's obviously things, with the US, with tariffs. So it's here in that advisory capacity just to help and guide as the team make strategic decisions to the benefit of our customers. So yeah, it's very exciting, very happy to be with Zodiac and happy to be looking forward to London International Shipping Week.
No, and first of all, we'd really like to thank you very much for your support of LISW25. Having you on board is an excellent opportunity for LISW to sort of work even more closely with leaders within the industry like yourselves. So thank you very much indeed for your support. We look forward to working with you in the run-up and also during the week itself. Kate, as you said there, there's a lot happening within shipping, on the regulatory side. Yeah, and that's without even looking at things like the tariffs and other issues that come in. These curveballs are coming in all the time. Asking you and Tanuj, and come in, both of you, on this, that must really be influencing the way that shipping companies develop their strategies. Because, if you go back 5-10 years, everything was pretty normal. I mean, the market's moving a certain way, and ship owners or ship managers moved in a certain way, responding to that. You had your crewing issues, you had your safety issues, you had the regulations that are going in. But there seems to be so much happening at the moment from a challenging perspective as well as an opportunity perspective, that shipping companies have to be even more agile. Katie, do you want to start on that, and then Tanuj, maybe bring you in on that, sir?
Yeah, Tanuj, I'll just look at it from an IMO perspective and then regulatory. And then the bottom line is, Sean, these regulations are what they are. We might not like them, but we have to work with them. The EU legislation, the regional legislation, and the bottom line is, we work with them. So the key for us is, okay, there's much criticism that the IMO framework hasn't got much bones or meat on the bones. Yes, we know that, but it's our responsibility to, for example, learn from how we operationalized Fuel EU and feed that into voices of influence that can then help the IMO as they develop. We learn more about, what the reward schemes will look like, what fuels will be rewarded, how we certify fuels. So it's a two-way thing. It's an outward-looking view to feed into the IMO, help the decision makers, the policy makers, to the best of the ability, allow us to operationalize, and then inwards looking, how do we take the lessons learned, how do we apply it to the commercial, to the contracts, to offer the best we can to our customers. So it's a two-way. So, whether you like or don't like them, you could sit and procrastinate. You have to live with them, and that's what my job here is, to give high-level advice so that Tanuj and the team can then operationalize it. So, yeah.
But from a regulatory point of view, I mean, we've got international regulation through the IMO, we've got regional regulation through the US Coast Guard, through the European Commission, through the Australians, what have you. See, and then you've got the memorandum of understanding on port state control elements that are going on as well. But is shipping, and there's a real need for shipping to really get its act together as far as sustainability, decarbonisation is concerned, etc. Is it agile enough, do you think, really, as an industry, to be able to act as quickly as it needs to? And I'm talking about the regulators here as well as the highly fragmented shipping industry that we're dealing with.
I think I'll have to turn to news. My view is, bottom line, is it agile enough? For us at Zodiac, agile is a key word for us. That is what we sort of pride ourselves on. And when you've got a fleet like Zodiac's, which is hugely diverse, what that allows us to have is an in-depth understanding across multiple sectors, both of the commercial, the operational, the regulatory piece. And because we've got that depth of understanding, it does allow us to be agile, and we're in a privileged position there. We haven't got a choice. Every day, as you've said, there's a curveball coming at us, whether it's something regional or it's a peculiarity with the port state control regime, or it's US trade tariffs. We have no choice. That's the landscape that we're living in, and we have to be ahead of the game so that we understand it fully. We can operationalise to the best of our customers' interests. But I'll let Tanuj step in.
Yeah, Tanuj, give us your thoughts on that.
So look, Sean, I think the situation is infinitely more complex than how you describe it. So as it is with the increasingly complex regulatory framework, the absolute need to reduce greenhouse gas emissions is only, let's say, one part of the complex picture over here. If we add to that what is already a cyclical business, I mean, we've been around in the business long enough to know that shipping is a cyclical business. And to really also understand that in the context of how volatile trade flows or unpredictable trade flows have been, especially of late, shortage of talent, the need to digitalize, and the list goes on. Actually, we in Zodiac like it. We like it because we believe we have what it takes to navigate through this, let's call it complexity, let's call it volatility. You can add a number of adjectives to it. And I think first of all, we are We are, really excited to be in this industry, based here in the UK, but actually, having an international outlook. And then you might ask, so what makes us confident to support our customers and our partners through this? It's literally three things, right? One is we consider ourselves to be a reliable partner, and that's because we believe we deeply understand our customers' needs and our business. We are taking prudent decisions that are prudent from a long-term perspective, and also always having I would say, the financial strength, low leverage, privately owned, the financial strength, not just for the sake of itself, but exactly to fuel the agility that Katy was talking about, that we're able to move quickly, deeply understanding our customers' needs and understanding the business. So I think this is something that we are very conscious to continue to build. You can call it stability, you can call it agility, whichever way you want to talk about it. Another part which we believe really sets us in the right frame to navigate these challenges is the reliability. And I would refer to reliability in, let's say, two planes. Reliability on a basic vessel reliability, fleet reliability level. We leverage data analytics, technology, modern ways of working to make sure that our ships and our network that we provide our customers is reliable, but also reliability from we are reliable business partners towards our customers and whoever we deal with. And that, we believe, pays off in the long run. And the final pillar I would talk about is simply responsibility. Even though it may not be the flavor of the season, etc., we believe that focusing on safety of people, protecting the environment, are things that we simply cannot take for granted, and we continue to engage our seafarers, engage our frontline, not thinking that we know all the answers, but actually engaging them to make their work as safe as it can possibly be. And same thing with the environmental responsibility, even though obviously it's important about decarbonization, but it's not only looking towards future fuels, but also we spend a lot of effort and financial resources in upgrading our fleet, strategic retrofits, using systems and digitalization to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions and so forth. So I think it may sound counterintuitive, but actually we enjoy this complex environment because we believe we are up for the challenge.
But I think you're exactly right, and I think this well-coined phrase of ESG, and companies will go to great lengths to say that they really embrace it. But it is so important, as you rightly say, because it's not only through the compliance, the social element is really important, and I want to sort of shine a little bit of a light on that with regards to your the way that you look after the very important elements of your fleet, which is the crew and the seafarers, and on the safety side, and then also with the environment. Coming into putting what puts you aside from your competitors, because at the end of the day, when you manage your ships and you run your ships, you're doing it for your customer's customer all the way down the line. You've got a lot of people there that you've got to be looking after. What are your customers, the charterers and the cargo owners? What are they now demanding from quality owners like yourselves? What do they want? What do they need?
We operate across many different subsegments of the industry. So to be honest, it does vary depending on the segment. I think one thing that is, or a couple of things that are pretty consistent across, is safe and reliable transport of their goods. I mean, you can take a container, or you could take a load of soybean, or a bunch of cars. They want the cargo to be safely and reliably delivered, right? And then there's the next elements, which sort of varies a little bit between segments, is the cost competitiveness. Because, again, global trade, at the end of the day, it's end consumers, in most parts of the world, there's discussions about cost of living and affordability, etc. So obviously it needs to be done in a cost competitive manner, and that's what they demand of us.
Katy, can I bring you in a little bit on this as well, looking at that sort of relationship you have with your customers and what sets you apart from your competitors? You do have a very, as Tanuj is saying, you have a very, very diverse fleet there. And I think, what are the advantages of that, would you say? It does put pressures, I think, maybe when it comes down to training, getting the right crew and what have you. But what are the advantages of that?
Again, I think it's down to that business and technical acumen. Our vessels are very modern, as Tanuj has said. Average age is 10 years old. We've invested heavily in efficiencies, making them efficient and well maintained. And that's what we look to with our crews. We have a responsibility shoreside with looking after those vessels, and that's something that we also look to our crew, our technical managers, our managing agents, making sure that whole consistent strategy around an operational mindset alongside safety and environmental. We know that is absolutely key responsibility. And between that, then we can focus on what the customer needs. But obviously as well with the crew, it's hugely important. Yes, we have got a diverse fleet, but it's, we've got full, we have to make sure we've got the right people on the right ships, make sure that they've got the right skills for the particular sets. So, the investment in our people to operate those vessels safely in all the various ports around the world on different types of sectors, that's also, it's hugely critical. And the role that our seafarers play with regards to delivering our strategy, they're absolutely at the heart of all of it. Absolutely. Without them, all of these words and what we've talked about in terms of delivering for our customer, the seafarers that we employ, they are critical. Without them, we couldn't deliver what we do as Zodiac Maritime.
And it's interesting when you look at, the moving forward now and attracting the crew of the future. There are going to be different demands being placed on employers, because the crew of the future will want certain things. They're very tech savvy. They, will be very, very comfortable with technology. Do you see it as an exciting opportunity now moving forward? We're still got to get the right people to come on board the industry, haven't we? But it must be exciting.
Twofold, we have hanging over us, if I look from a UK perspective and recruitment of UK cadets, it is known, it's well documented in industry that there is a recruitment retention problem. And that's something that we work very hard to overcome, to attract the right caliber, to make sure we're getting quality people through the system and retaining them through the system. And we're working very closely with the MCA with regards to how we can help them improve the cadet offering and the training and modernising it. And I think, picking up on the point that you made, the generation that we are trying to attract are very tech savvy. We need to modernise the training programs that are delivered to them to sort of fit with how their mindset works. The other side of the coin is potentially an exciting time because it's a whole new world that we're moving into with technology, with systems on board, with artificial intelligence, how that all works out on the ship. We need tech savvy people, so it's a difficult thing. But so what I think for us is it's about making sure that we are attracting the right caliber of cadets that understands what Zodiac is about, and so that we can train them both technically and with the right leadership skills. So hopefully they'll stay with us long term, and also, if there's opportunities to come ashore, we're really keen to find ways that people see a long-term career with Zodiac Maritime, maybe start on the ships, but so they've got opportunities to come ashore and stay long-term with the company. That's really important for us.
I think that's a valuable point. Tanuj, yes, certainly.
Yeah, if I can build on that, and this is a really great conversation here, because I know both Katy and I are really passionate about seafarers and talent. And apart from, Katy, what you already mentioned about the opportunities or challenges and opportunities, I think it's also a good point to recognize the success, or let's call it the impact already made. So Sean, you started off this conversation talking about how many ships Zodiac Maritime has, etc. I think it's important for listeners also to perhaps be aware that we are very proud to have the largest commercial fleet by tonnage flying the UK flag actually within Zodiac. So the number is 4.1 million deadweight tons of the Zodiac fleet is flying the UK flag, which also then means, obviously it follows that then we are also one of the largest providers of shipboard training for UK cadets. So we are very committed to local talent development and also building on the maritime heritage. Obviously, there's let's call it challenges and opportunities, which we work very closely with the local partners to do our bit to help improve. I think we have a lot of examples where we have cadets who have started off on the ships and today hold positions in the office here in our headquarters, in London. We love to celebrate those successes as well, so that hopefully others would, also be inspired as such. And I think another, let's say, good point to talk about is globally in our seafarer pool. And this is something that I was very happy to do even earlier this year, is we quite regularly are handing out 10-year anniversary awards and 20-year anniversary awards, which obviously means something is being done right. But we cannot rest on our laurels. The industry is changing, talent wants and demands from a job is changing, and we need to continue to make a compelling, let's call it an employee value proposition, to use that term, toward future talent.
But I think, as you say there, Tanuj, it's about career development. And you made the point earlier, Katie, that it's not just going to sea, but there's great opportunities when you come ashore in office space, but then also in other maritime related industries like legal side and class and what have you. And I think there's a great opportunity for further investment right the way across the board in building up that talent pool. Is the industry doing enough on there? There are opportunities, aren't there, to actually reach out to the young and say, look, this is a great career to start looking at. What are your thoughts on that, Katie and Tanuj? I mean,
maybe I can start and Katie jump in. I think, if I look at the glass half full, then, certainly, being part of I would say, once in a lifetime opportunity to be part of the decarbonisation of such a critical industry. I mean, I think a lot of people know, or hopefully they know, that I think it's around 90% of goods transported around the world is done by ship, is done by sea. That's a staggering number. And to be part of that transition as we decarbonize the industry, as we introduce more digitalization, automation, and so forth, I think by itself should be a compelling opportunity. But that's me looking at the glass half full. If I look at the glass half empty, then, the fact of the matter is, it is still time away from friends and family, even though, we have, at least in our company, introduced, connectivity and the internet and so on for us crew. But still, you're far away from friends and family. But the other, personally, I feel, which is becoming a real sticky point is, that shipping comes into the forefront of people's minds when something goes wrong.
Yeah.
But the 99 times out of 100 when things have gone right, it is invisible, right? But the one time out of 100 when something goes wrong, that's when we're in the papers, and that to me is one of that's of course me looking at the glass half empty, but those are some of the things that we, together with support from, not just institutions, but opportunities such as London International Shipping Week and so forth, that we are able to shine a light towards also the positive parts, not just be in the news when something has gone wrong.
Yeah, no. Did you have anything to add on that, Katie?
I'm going to be honest, there's been much discussion for many years about how do we promote the maritime sector, how do we encourage talent in. That is, it seems we're still struggling to do that, and I think it's something that maybe needs to be revisited. But then, when I'm just sat here now thinking, I think of Zodiac Maritime. We're here in the heart of London. 3-generational family. We run on this family, we take pride on a family ethos. When I look at the customers that we have working for us, world-leading customers, and then all the different job or career opportunities that you could do in Zodiac, not just from going to sea, but, from other legal teams we've got here, the QHSC, there's multiple options. So you sort of go, why wouldn't you want to come and work for Zodiac Maritime in the heart of the City of London? I mean, we need to get some excitement into it and an awareness of what the opportunities are. That said, that there are still hurdles, It's very expensive to live in London. That's something we need to get over. The visas is not as easy as it used to be, So there are other things that we also really little minutiae, but things that we need to discuss with our colleagues in government to say, come on, give us a helping hand here. Here we are, heart of London. Why wouldn't you want to come and work for Zodiac?
No, exactly. And, if I go back, to my near 40 years in shipping media, when I was a journalist on Lloyd's List and reporting on, the charters that have been done by Zodiac and always had a tremendous respect for the company and high regard for the company. And as you say, the largest British based ship owner with the tonnage that you talked about. How important is that, still maintaining that connection there with Britain and the UK? Because through LISW is a shop window for the world to see and for the UK to demonstrate what it's doing to the world. And it's a major cluster. I think even the Baltics, in our stats came out, we're still putting London second to Singapore globally as a maritime centre. So London and the UK is still very, very important. And that's what we want to try and be developing with LISW. How important is it for Zodiac, would you say? Where do you see the opportunities and the moving forward for as far as the UK is concerned?
For us, it's very important. We are committed to the UK. This is where the company was incorporated and founded almost, 50 years ago in the late 70s. So apart from being a third generation business, we will soon be cutting the cake, I guess, if there will be, for 50 years being incorporated in the UK. And we are committed to the UK and to continue to build the maritime, as I mentioned earlier, the maritime industry over here. I think it's important to also recognize we cannot sit on our laurels, if that's the term, and we need to constantly look at what is happening around the world. What are other jurisdictions doing to to attract companies such as ours to their shores, and therefore never sort of taking things for granted. I think the more we can work together within the UK community to constantly evolve, constantly reinvent, constantly understand what the changing expectations from customers and companies are, then I think the only way forward is positive, right?
I mean, the lovely thing of LISW is that we have really, really close involvement with the UK government. They sit on the steering group as well as the board of advisors, and we work very closely with. But it's an opportunity for industry to pass on clear messaging to the government, and not wanting to sort of go down any particular controversial routes. But are there any messages that I think that you maybe think the government, would benefit from listening to as a way of growing the industry and growing the business?
I think the modernisation of cadet training, both from an educational piece and from a funding piece. I think government and MCA, hats off to them. They've engaged, they're doing some engagement on that front and really taking it seriously. And I think that's a really key one for us. We need to really get to the bottom and really try and find some positive steps forward to the development of the cadet funding and training and bringing the talent on board and how we can keep the talent. I think, on the decarbonisation piece, we recognise that the UK puts itself as a high ambition country on this front. They've got national commitments. I think the key from my side would be listen to the voice of the experts, the people that have got to operationalise this. So I think that's a really key message from my side. And again, picking up on the piece you said about London itself, what can government do to help us to attract that talent into the country? How can we make it somewhat easier for us to recruit, retain? Because it can be quite tricky. So, yeah, how can we encourage people to come and work for us here and be part of the Zodiac family, the decarbonisation piece and the cadet training? But I'll look to Tanuj if I've either said something wrong or missed something.
No, I think Katie, I think you've covered all the important points, right? And just to maybe summarize, it's just about, let's constantly evolve. Let's not be complacent, and let's listen to the experts and the voice of of companies, not just us as Zodiac, obviously not, but listen to the voice of the industry so that whatever is being decided is done so with due consultation and input. I think that's what I could say. But Katie, I think you were much more articulate than I was.
I think that's the key message, Tanuj. It's we understand that we're on a path. Just make sure that you listen to us as we walk that path together.
Yeah, well, we're very, very excited. Obviously, as I said, London Shipping Week is only a matter of weeks away. It's quite amazing how it's all now starting to come together, and it's going to be a very, very exciting week. What does it mean to you? Because I was personally very excited when I learned that Zodiac Maritime were going to get involved in LISW because of the respect and regard I had for the company for many, many years. What are you hoping to get out of LISW as an event? You've got the global shipping industry coming into London and in the UK. The right people are here. We've got a lot of international delegations coming in. How is Zodiac Maritime going to be using that week to get across, your messaging on things like stability, reliability, responsibility? What are your thoughts, Tanuj?
Maybe I can start, and Katie, please feel free to jump in. Obviously, I think we are very excited about it as well, and we've got a calendar of things that we will be connecting with different people and different partners on. And I think it's important that we are going in with an open mindset, not only to and of course there's a lot about the showcase part and
Yeah.
talking about, let's say, not just Zodiac but also the community over here, but it's also going in with an open mindset to learn, to listen and learn from others, to have a humble approach to say, okay, let's listen to diverse viewpoints, let's understand, let's have a dialogue, and come up with perhaps even better solutions. So we are definitely not going in with a perspective of we know it all and we know it already, and not at all. It's with the humble mindset and wanting to also engage and learn. And sometimes the power of connections is tremendous. So I think having a platform like LISW is a fantastic opportunity for us. I can tell you, on the floor, people are buzzing within Zodiac with excitement and anticipation, and we need to sometimes be the say, hey, ladies and gents, we also need to get our day job done. So it's not only
Exactly.
about going for all of these very, very interesting and engaging sessions that have been lined up. So I think we'll be doing it a little bit like shore leave was done perhaps back in the day, where a certain number of people are allowed to go ashore and then they would need to come back to take over the watch before the rest are. So
Yeah.
that's my seafarer side coming through.
Katie, I mean, as I said earlier, you've been closely involved with LSW for many years, but you must be excited about what's in prospect.
Yeah, I'm picking up on from Tanuj. It's a great opportunity to connect with people. As Tanuj says, we don't know everything. We are pretty humble in that context. But again, it's around that safety, people, environment, having those discussions and what we can learn and interact with others so that we can keep building our sort of our knowledge and our acumen and just keep adding to it. But yeah, it's going to be fun to be on this side of the table for LISW, sure.
Well, all I can say is comfortable shoes are a prerequisite without a doubt. Good planning of where you want to go, but it's great, and it's going to be great sort of reconnecting with people and what have you. And I think so excited myself. But Katie, and if I may also congratulate you on your recent MBE as well.
Thank you.
This is lovely, and many congratulations on that. And thank you very much for your time today. And Tanuj, thank you for your time as well. Delight speaking with you. Looking forward to actually having you come in on the International Ship Owner and Ship Management Summit as well during LRSW. So we'll see you in a number of different areas. And then Katy, you're speaking in the main headline conference as well. So that's going to be really good. But thank you very much indeed for your time today. And yeah, not long to go, and we're there we're also there supporting in the run up and during the week as well. But thank you very much indeed.
Thanks, Sean.
Thanks for having us, Sean.